Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Royston. I'm Telecom's leading evangelist for the public cloud. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about why I think telco is going to move to the public cloud. To me, this is an inevitable transformation. Every other industry has moved to the public cloud. Healthcare, finance, even government. But telco is still, nope, not for us, we aren't doing it. What I think is going to drive the move to the public cloud is not going to be a technical sale or a technical pitch. And that's because your IT departments are way too invested in on-premise being the solution for the next decade. I bet you hear from them all the time that lift and shift is more expensive than on-premise, that the public cloud is overhyped or that it's not secure. I think what's going to drive the move to the public cloud is the massive business value it brings to telco. There are two ways to get business value, through dramatic cost savings and secondly, through revenue enhancement. Today, I'm going to focus on the dramatic cost savings. I'm going to share some examples to show you how you can cut your IT costs in half. There are three big areas to spend in IT: hardware, software, and people. Let's start by talking about the hardware you buy to run workloads on-premise. This is roughly 15% of a typical telco IT budget. I think most people are aware of the elasticity benefits of compute and storage in the public cloud. Pay for what you need when you need it, right-sizing machines, applying smart scheduling policies, and eliminating all of your disaster recovery investment. Those are the easy, obvious benefits to understand. Go read the 2018 Gartner study that showed you would see a 55% savings with a move to the public cloud. So let's move on to a more advanced topic. Have you been following the recent announcement about the AWS ARM chip? In March, a non-tech benchmarked these new chips, and they wrote a great article about it. They called it the x86 massacre. Ouch. Intel is getting worked. As a defense tactic, Intel has been raising the price of their chips for on-premise servers, selling them for $5,000 to $10,000. At the same time, they are cutting the price of the same chips so they can compete with the ARM chips, reducing the price to about $1,000 a pop to the cloud providers. But AWS went and designed their own silicon and built a better, faster, cheaper chip, even cheaper than Intel's $1,000 price. The takeaway? Stop buying on-premise servers with those expensive chips that go for $5,000 to $10,000. Eliminate your data center and go to the public cloud and use the AWS ARM chips. You will save about 40% and see 7x the performance. Okay, next, let's talk about software. This is roughly 20% of a typical telco IT budget. Let's take an application like analytics. Last November, Vodafone announced it was moving all of its analytics processes to Google Cloud Platform. Let's think about this for a second. They will eliminate 600 Hadoop servers across 11 countries, centralize 1,300 feeds across 226 revenue models to run analytics over 17 petabytes of data. What used to take hours or days will now take seconds or minutes, allowing Vodafone to save tons of money on licensing costs and databases and get real-time insights into its business. That's huge. So now let's talk about databases, one of my favorite examples. As you sit there and listen to me, right now in your head, add up how much you're spending on database licenses and maintenance. How much are you spending with Oracle these days? The big telcos spend about $100 million a year on Oracle. That's $100 million on databases. When I was CEO of Optiva and moved our products to the public cloud, one of my big ideas was to replace Oracle with Google Cloud Spanner. Spanner is not only 10 times faster than an Oracle database, it's 10 times cheaper. It's a fully managed relational database that auto-scales as needed. It has built-in disaster recovery, built-in redundancy, built-in capacity. Of course, Oracle makes great databases. They have for decades, but they are expensive. And you all know what it's like to do business with Oracle. Meanwhile, there are cloud databases that are better, faster, and cheaper, but they are only available on the public cloud. Gartner says that by 2022, 75% of all databases will be deployed or migrated to the public cloud. And another software example, the opportunity to just get rid of all this legacy source code. I was talking with a software vendor the other day about a product they recently made cloud native that runs on GCP and AWS. This product is not cloud native because it runs in Kubernetes or that it runs on the public cloud. What these guys did was even better. They took a product that was 1 million lines of source code, and by using Firebase on GCP, reduced the entire code base to 3,500 lines of code. Total. That's it. And then they did the same thing on AWS, but because Firebase doesn't exist on AWS, it took a little more work. And on AWS, it's 6,000 lines of code. If they had kept the old product and just put it into containers, they'd be supporting 1 million lines of code. But they didn't do that. They were smart. They refactored the product for multi-cloud. Of course, now they have vendor lock-in using Firebase on GCP. But that's not a bad thing, because instead of 1 million lines of code to support, it's 3,500. Just think about that. That's more than 100 times reduction of source code. That's mind-blowing. How many million lines of code can you eliminate in your organization? So my advice, move your applications to the public cloud and get access to dramatically better and cheaper software and cloud databases now. And so now let's take on people, typically the biggest part of your spend, about 65% or so of the typical telco IT budget. What happens to your staff when you move to the public cloud? There's not a lot of data out there. I think that's because no one wants to talk about it. I'd argue this is the real barrier to moving to the public cloud, the fear of the impact to headcount. A lot of people will be displaced. I know that in some locations around the world, HR laws are difficult to navigate, and no one wants to be the bad guy. But here's the thing. You can be a leader who takes this challenge and turns it into a great opportunity. You can be a hero. Let me tell you about a program in the United States called Lambda School, run by Austin Allred. He takes people who don't have a technical background at all and puts them through a super intense 6 to 9 month program and turns them from whatever they were doing before into full stack developers, data scientists, and DevOps engineers. When they re-enter the workforce, they see a 2 to 3x increase in their pay. Just follow him on Twitter and read all the success stories. It's inspiring. If I were an exec at a telco, this is the approach I would take. And instead of worrying about the negative impact of the cloud on your people, flip it around. Retrain them with cloud skills, give them the valuable experience they can put on their resume or CV, create a positive path forward so that in 1, 2, or 3 years, when they leave, they get a big bump in pay at their next job and qualify for the most wanted technical jobs on the planet. Reskill your employees so they have a future instead of trapping them in the legacy of the past. I promise you, they will thank you for it. It's an investment you can be proud of, and it will pay off, positioning you as an employer of choice. So to wrap up, a move to the public cloud offers you massive savings opportunities, like 50% or more. Remember my hardware example with the AWS ARM chip. Remember my software examples and switch to cloud databases and reduce your source code by 100x. And the dramatic savings in headcount you can achieve, but remember to reskill your people so they have new opportunities with better pay as they leave your organization. Moving to the public cloud will give your organization a huge advantage. So ask yourself, are you using cloud-native software? Are you using ARM chips? Are you serverless? Are you using Spanner instead of Oracle? Are you reducing your source code by 100x? And are you reskilling your people for the cloud future? The bottom line, the public cloud is coming to the telecom industry. Those who fully embrace it will win, period. And I want to help you do it. I've got case studies, relationships, and resources ready to support you. On this slide, you'll find a bunch of ways to get a hold of me. Visit my website, we can connect on Twitter or LinkedIn, subscribe to my newsletter, and listen to my awesome Telco in 20 podcast. And give me some feedback about my talk. Go to telcodr.com/survey and let me know what you think. I'm giving out 50 Yetis as a token of my appreciation, and I promise it will take you less than 5 minutes. Thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day.